I am the helicopter blades rotating above your head. I am the soldier who clenches your hand while stating, I don't want to die. I am every life that was saved that you questioned, would they want to live that way? I am every tear shed, the haunting memories, the smells, the sounds that fill your head, the pills you take to self-medicate. I am the friends, the family you pushed away, the hopes and dreams lost. I am PTSD.
PTSD can be experienced from a multitude of ways, from soldiers, from car crashes, being abused, or even losing a patient. In these videos, you'll observe two nurses and how they cope with the loss of their first patient for the day, whom they've been caring for months.
We're losing him! Call Blue! What's the nurse?
Someone to 312! We need blood! We need blood! How's the BP?
It's dropping, it's dropping.
We need help in 312!
This patient's...
Let me check the pulse. Clear?
No!
We're calling it.
No!
Count of death, 1400.
No! Don't stop!
Hey class, sorry you couldn't be here. Our project, we are group 1, our project is on PTSD and ASD. And our group, we have Betsy, myself, Louisa, and Natasha. All right, Betsy's gonna start with ASD, okay?
Okay, so as you saw in our skit, I am acting out ASD and Shedley is acting out PTSD. So, what is ASD? ASD is a mental health problem. It occurs usually about a month after a traumatic event, but it doesn't last typically longer than a month, which is the main difference between ASD and PTSD.
Okay, and as for PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, it is a psychiatric disorder that may occur in people who have been exposed to dramatic events such as natural disasters, serious accident, terrorist attack, rape, have been treated with death, sexual violence, serious injuries, which is the one that I act as in the video. Here are some of the causes of ASD, as Bestie will go ahead and
So, as we stated earlier, people can develop ASD after experiencing one or more traumatic event. They don't even have to experience the event themselves. They can hear about the event, and it can still be traumatic for them. Some of the events that might cause it are death of a loved one, threat of death or serious injury, natural disasters, motor vehicle accidents, sexual assault, rape, or domestic abuse, receiving a terminal diagnosis, or surviving a traumatic brain injury.
And since PTSD is a longer effect of ASD, it has the same type of sign and symptoms of it, but PTSD is comparable to ASD, like I said. However, it's based like on the duration, so how long. If it's after a month, then it's PTSD. During the weeks following a trauma event, most individuals inhibit narrative acute reactions such as intrusion thoughts of dreams about the event, hyper alertness, irritability, and problem with sleep, memory, or concentration. These symptoms revolve on their own with time for most people. PTSD thus is characterized by a failure to follow the normative trajectory of recovery after exposure to a traumatic event.
2 weeks later.
All right. So how's everything going after?
I'm barely holding it together. I can't sleep, having hallucinations, nightmares. It's just been really, really tough.
I'm so sorry to hear. I wonder how Shedley's doing.
We asked her.
Hey, how are you doing?
Oh my
okay though.
Is she okay?
Will you guys talk? Is she okay?
You guys' his friend, is she doing okay?
We're not sure.
Did something
hope
happen
so.
recently, or
We lost a patient recently.
must have affected her pretty bad? Well, I'm actually a therapist, so if you guys ever want to see me, here's my card. Definitely come talk it out.
Perfect.
Okay?
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some of the signs and symptoms of ASD. They include flashbacks, nightmares, avoidance of the reminders of the event, disassociation, inability to experience positive emotions, anxiety, sleep disturbances, irritability, and difficulty concentrating. Of course, these symptoms can be very disturbing, not only to the person who experiences them, but also to friends and family that might be around them.
And here are some of the signs for and symptoms for PTSD, which is categorized by 4 cluster of symptoms. It is re-experiencing symptoms, traumatic nightmares, flashbacks. It's basically the same thing as ASD, except it continues longer. Avoidance, trauma-related thoughts and feelings and object, people, or place associated with traumas. Negative change in cognitions and mood, persistent shames or guilt, emotional numbness, feelings or alertion, alteration in arousal or reactive symptoms.
Next, you'll see Betsy taking advice from the therapist and scheduling an appointment to meet with her. You'll also notice some symptoms that Shedley continues to experience.
Oh, come on in, Betsy. How are you doing today?
Doing well, thank you. And how are you?
Good. I'm so glad you scheduled time to meet with me. So tell me, how have things been going?
It's been rough
Rough?
this last couple weeks, yes.
How so?
Well, we lost a patient a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
He had been here for months. We really developed this bond where I considered him almost like family. And just seeing him bleed out and losing him really was painful.
So how has that impacted you in your everyday life?
I can't sleep. I'm having flashbacks.
Flashbacks.
Mhm.
What are the flashbacks like?
Oh, it takes me right back to it, like it's happening right then and there.
Okay.
All the sounds and the smells of it, the just blood, hearing the flat line.
Okay.
It's just,
Is there any way you can kind of relate this into like a positive, like anytime you think of it, you can imagine something positive or relate it to something that's happened before in your life? What about thinking about all the hard work that you put in with that patient? And how you tried your hardest?
I could do that.
Yeah.
I mean, we really did try hard.
And that's good. You want to reflect on that. You worked your hardest, you did what you could, and it's unfortunate the way it turned out. Have you tried anything like journaling or reflecting on the thoughts of that happened that day?
No, but that's a very good idea.
Yeah, definitely
help.
suggest journaling. Write it all out, everything, the good, the bad. Maybe do some breathing techniques. Go ahead and try it now for me. Just take a deep breath and think, I am calm, I'm calm.
I am calm.
Yeah. So anytime you start feeling anxious or that flashbacks start coming back, think I'm calm, or start writing, okay?
The deep breaths really seem to help.
Yeah. Well, let's try that, and then we can schedule a time to meet up again, okay?
Okay, sounds great.
All right.
Thank
See
you.
you later. Yeah.
right, so next we're going to talk about how to keep ASD, Betsy, from progressing to PTSD, Shedley. So I did find a little quote, and it says, the first thing you need to do is realize that these symptoms are common reactions to trauma and that they usually go away over time. After a trauma, it is important to seek safety and ensure that immediate needs are being met. These include learning how to calm yourself, finding ways to cope with the event, and obtaining information about the situation and connecting with family, social, and community support networks. So in your textbooks, they talk about some treatments for PTSD or ASD. So these kind of include cognitive therapy, prolonged exposure therapy, family and group therapy, which we hear a lot about, and pharmacologic, did I say that right? Like medications, and then something called rapid eye movement desensitization, which I put it on the PowerPoint wrong, so you'll see it on the next one. So to go into a little depth about what these therapies are, you have cognitive therapy, which kind of tackles both ASD and PTSD. So the goal for this is to kind of help the individual recognize the trauma, so understand what happened and kind of take that and turn it into what's good. So for the example, we try to take the CPR and turn it into something that is helpful, like the beach or something to create positive memories, which kind of falls in line with the rapid eye. So the next one is prolonged therapy, which is 4 main parts. So we demonstrated prolonged therapy exposure with Betsy as the therapist was talking to her. So you're kind of educating the patient about the treatment, using breathing exercises to relax. Go ahead, guys. You guys were supposed to do it with me. All right. Imagine exposure through repeated discussion about the trauma with a therapist and exposure to real world situations. So trying to throw them back in there to get back to work or do things that relate to that trauma, whether it be soldiers in battle, just kind of accept that. The next one is group and family therapy, which we see all the time with alcohol, right? And drug users. They kind of sit around in a circle and talk about what's going on and how they feel. So that's another option for these 2 diagnoses. And then we also have medications. So medications you often see are like antidepressants, antipsychotics, anxiolytics, and hypertensive medications. And then we have rapid eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. Note the red star. So this is what we use with Shedley, where the therapist kind of moves her fingers back and forth. And again, this is to create them from doing good memories to to prevent from bad memories to good memories. And then kind of having them concentrate on their fingers. So this occurs in 8 phases. The first phase is history and treatment planning. So we want to kind of collect the history and see what happened. What was the traumatic event that they were experiencing? Phase 2 is preparation. So teach the client self-care techniques, journaling, deep breathing, things of that matter, even coloring. Phase 3 is assessment. So identify a specific scene that represents the memory. 4 is desensitization. So the use of visual negative thoughts while focusing on a back and forth motion. And then phase 5, installation. So replace the negative thoughts with your positive thoughts, such as the beach. 6 is a body scan. So identify areas on the body where residue tension is experienced. This phase is not complete until the individual can think about it and discuss the events. So where is it kind of affecting you on your body? Can you recall the event? Can you talk about the event that's happening or that did happen? Can you go back to work? And phase 7, closure. So you feel better after each session. So each time the therapist is kind of reassessing, and that brings us to phase 8. So every new session, they're reassessing.
1 month later.
So how's therapy going?
So I went yesterday, and this doctor is wonderful. She gave me some breathing techniques, and so seems to be working. I'm thinking clearer, sleeping a little better, and things at work are getting a lot better too.
I'm so happy
So-
you're doing better. You seem like you're doing better too.
Thank you.
Oh, look, there's champagne. Are you okay? Henley, are you okay? What's going on? Have you been drinking today?
Of course not.
Okay, well, I think we need to call you an Uber and get you home.
I'm fine. I
You
can
do
drive.
not know.
No,
I'm gonna
you
call
don't
an
need to
Uber.
go in there.
I'm calling an Uber. She can't work like this. Hi, yes,
I
I'm
really
just
think you should get some
requesting
therapy.
for a pickup.
Yeah, what we went
Okay.
through was pretty
Thank
traumatic.
you.
Here's
Okay,
the
well,
name
there's
and
an
number of
Uber
a
coming.
therapist.
You need to go home. You need to rest.
And give that therapist a call. She works wonders.
Okay, so we're just gonna wait for your Uber because
Yeah,
you
we're not
cannot
gonna let
work.
you go.
Oh, here's your Uber.
I can take her, guys.
Thank
you so much.
Take her home.
Please call that therapist.
Okay. I will.
Hi, hello. My coworker gave me your cards to come see you. Okay, yeah, take a seat. What brings you in today? I had this traumatic event that happened with one of our patient. Okay. And me and our coworker was the one running the code, and the patient passed. And about how long ago was that event? It's been over a month now.
Over a month?
Yes.
Okay. And you're just not adapting well to what happened?
No, I'm having trouble sleeping. It keeps coming back every time I hear the code, or if I hear the thing go off, and it brings me back. So
Okay. Any behaviors that are abnormal? Have you been experiencing any of those?
according to my coworkers, yes,
What do you mean according to your coworkers? What happened?
they said that I've been drinking, which
Okay.
I drink a little bit, but it's not abnormal.
Not abnormal? Okay. Well, we'll discuss that a little bit later. So it sounds like since it's been over a month and you've been having these, it sounds like you might have a little bit of a post-traumatic stress disorder. So what I think we need to do, and if you don't mind trying this, is a rapid eye desensitization and reprocessing therapy, okay?
Okay.
So what that's gonna entail is I'm gonna be moving my fingers back and forth in front of your face. This goal is to desensitize your painful memories from the loss of your patient and kind of turn them into good ones. So I want you to concentrate on my fingers as I'm moving back and forth. Recall that memory from over a month ago of you losing the patient. I want you to really think about that. But I want you to try to turn those thoughts into something that are good. Okay. What are things that you like to do
The
in your life?
beach,
Okay. The beach is always
with
good.
my dog.
So think of those and try to relate it to what happened in your experience, okay?
Okay.
All right, so ready? You're just gonna follow my fingers and go ahead and think of those thoughts. Keep following them. You can hear the flat line that you're thinking of the beach. Okay, very good. All right, so that was pretty good. Some other things I want you to try, I suggest this to a lot of people, is deep breathing. Okay, anytime you think of those thoughts, do that. And then I definitely would like to meet with you again, okay?
Okay.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the diagnostic criteria for post-traumatic stress disorder, if anyone has their mental health book, it's on page 486. And here you can see the list of the criteria that post-traumatic stress disorder includes. So for A, exposure to actual or threatened death, serious injury, or sexual violence in one or more of the following ways. So they're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in 4, some examples would be like first responders, collecting human bodies, police officers, repeatedly exposed to details of child abuse. So that's just some examples for the category A. So if you look on category D, persistent and exaggerated negative beliefs or expectations about oneself, others, or the world. For example, saying I am bad, no one can be trusted, the world is completely dangerous, or my whole nervous system is permanently ruined. And then also persistent inability to experience positive emotions. For example, inability to experience happiness, satisfaction, or loving feelings. And then in category E, which is marked alterations in arousal and reactivity associated with traumatic events beginning or worsening after the traumatic event occurred. So some of the stuff could be difficulty falling or staying asleep or restless sleep as well. And then for the next one, cool. And then I talked about that. Yeah, this is it. Okay, so, and then with acute diagnostic criteria for acute stress disorder, we have exposure to actual or threatened death, serious injury, or sexual violation in one or more of the following ways, which you'll see on page 487. It'll give you a description of each. And then for B, it's presence of 9 or more of the following symptoms from any of the 5 categories or intrusion: negative mood, dissociation, avoidance, and arousal, beginning or worsening after the traumatic event occurred. So some of it is kind of the same, but obviously for the post-traumatic stress disorder, it's a little bit more lengthy.
And these are also called your DSM-5 diagnostic criteria. So definitely pay attention to those. It is lengthy, like Louisa said, but that's what's actually going to say that this is what they have.
Okay. And then for adjustment disorders, after 3 months of the traumatic event, an individual could be at risk for an adjustment disorder. This is an emotional reaction to the event, such as depression, anxiety, or a mix of both. Depression is the most common adjustment disorder. The symptoms include depressed mood, tearfulness, and feelings of hopelessness. Adjustment disorder with anxiety includes symptoms of nervousness, worry, and jitterness. Adjustment disorder with mixed and depressed mood include predominant features of disturbances in mood, depression, feelings of hopelessness and sadness, and manifestations of anxiety, which is the nervousness, worry, and jitteriness. And then the adjustment disorder with disturbance of conduct is characterized by conduct in which there is a violation of the rights of others or of major age-appropriate societal norms and rule for, so for example, reckless driving, fighting, and defaulting on legal responsibilities. And then we've got adjustment disorder with mixed disturbance of emotions and conduct, which include emotional disturbances as well as disturbances of conduct in which there is a violation of the rights of others or of major age-appropriate societal norms and rules. And then last but not least, we've got the adjustment disorder unspecified, which is a subtype used when the adaptive reaction is not consistent with any of the other categories. So the individual may have physical complaints, withdraw from relationships, or exhibit impaired work or academic performance, but without significant disturbance in emotional or conduct.
All right, and then we have our references. I would ask if any of you guys have any questions. If so, send one of us a text and we'll try to help you out there. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We have also added a little crossword puzzle with definitions from the chapter to help you study. Thank you.